Hey guys, it's Anne Marie, and in today's video, I'm going to give you a couple tips that will help you negotiate a better salary the next time you're looking for a job. This is the Anti-HR channel, and on this channel, I talk about HR issues, I give HR tips and advice, and I give information about employee workplace rights to educate employees about their workplace rights so that they're better positioned to assert those workplace rights when they feel they've been violated. If that's of interest to you, please hit the like button, please subscribe, please leave constructive comments, and please share this video with a friend. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys a couple tips about how to get the salary that you want when you are looking for a new job. I get a lot of questions in the comments about how to negotiate a salary. Someone recently asked that question about how do you negotiate and get the salary that you want. Obviously, I'm not going to give you every tip that I know because this is part of my HR practice. And, you know, if I give you the whole thing, then what would be the point of having a consulting practice? However, I'm going to give you one of the most important tips for you to have. And I'm going to give you two. But the first one is, the easiest way to get the salary that you want when you are looking for a job and when someone makes an offer to you is to ask for the salary that you want. It sounds obvious, doesn't it? But yet so many of us don't do it. And by us, I mean Black women. Of all the demographics that I have dealt with in my professional careers, where I have recruited people, I have headhunted for people, I have placed people in entry-level, mid-level, and high executive positions, in every one of those areas, the people who negotiated the least were Black women. And I've said this in videos before. White men, they always negotiate. I don't care if you offered them the top of the range, they still ask for more money. And other things as well. White men are the demographic that always negotiated the most. It didn't matter whether they are entry-level, mid-level, entry-level executive, or high executive. They were the group that I always knew I was going to have to put my negotiation boots on if I was dealing with one of them, because they have this preordinate belief in their abilities, whether founded or unfounded. Society has taught them that they deserve to have top dollar, and they demand it, even in entry-level roles. And they get it, okay? Because often they get offered more, even at entry level, than any other demographic. The second demographic I also found to negotiate were Black men. Right? They might not negotiate as hard, but they did negotiate. So men always negotiated. I've always found that men always negotiated, whether I was dealing with white men, Black men, men of color. They always negotiated. Some were better negotiators than others. The hardest negotiators were white men. They would be trying to get everything, not just all the money. They wanted the perks, the this, the that, the other, and the third. Followed by Black men and POC men. Then white women, POC women, Black women at the bottom. I can think one instance in which a Black woman pushed back on the salary that she was offered and asked for more money in my entire career. And that's sad. Almost every other time, they always took whatever they were offered. And it used to frustrate me near the end of my career when I would see it happen. Because at that point, I was primarily recruiting, entry executives, mid-executives, high executives. They never negotiate. We have to do better on this front, which is why I'm doing this video. The number one way to get the salary you want is to ask for it. How do you know what to ask for? Do your homework before. Know what the market says you should get. If you're going for a nonprofit, let me give you a little tip. If you're going for a nonprofit executive role, GuideStar.org has the listings and the tax returns of many, many nonprofit organizations. Usually not the current year, but they usually have past year tax returns. You can get to see what all the top executives' salaries are for that tax year. So it gives you an idea of what people are making, right? You can also do other research online about what people in certain jobs and roles are making, nonprofit, for-profit, etc. Peg your salary to what you see. Now, you might not get the exact amount, but it'll give you a ballpark of where you should be, right? And you will often find that you're way behind. And what will happen is if you don't negotiate, you will always be behind. We will always end up being the lowest paid because we don't negotiate. So it's very important to do some homework so you have an idea of what the landscape, the financial salary landscape is for the job that you are applying and competing for. And if they offer you the job, it means they want to hire you, right? But let me give you a little secret about how a lot of HR departments make offers. They usually set the offer between the low and the midpoint. So you've got low, you've got middle, you've got high. There are gaps in between the low and the middle. There's a gap in between the middle and the high. Salaries go all the way from the low all the way to the high. On top of that, there is racism. So often, white men will get offered the most amount of money, followed by white women, followed by black men, in my experience, and other men of color, and then everybody else. Okay? And black women at the bottom. So you're also fighting against the reality that you're likely to get offered less, despite having the same knowledge, skills, and abilities as everyone else, if you're a black woman. So you got to do your homework to make sure that you get a salary that is fair. Okay? So what you want to do is do your homework, understand where the salaries should be in the marketplace, right? If it's a nonprofit, do your homework. If you're applying for executive level, do your homework so that you know what they've been selling. You might even find out what they've been paying, your predecessor that way, okay? Then wait for the offer. When they make the offer, always counter. That's the tip, always counter. I don't care if it's the most money you ever seen in your life. Counter, ask for more money, right? That's one of the things I help my clients with. And in my coaching with my clients around this, I also help them around knowing how much to ask, how to do the market research, what else to ask in terms of not just salary, but other things. But what I'm giving you is one tip. Always counter. Even if it's the most money you ever saw in your life, always counter, especially as black women, because whatever they're offering you is not the highest salary they can pay. So if you know in your mind what you believe you should make based on the market research you've done, and they come in with an offer lower than that, don't be afraid to ask for more money. Always negotiate. Don't accept the first offer. Ask for more money. Okay? The second tip that I'm going to give you in this video is don't be afraid to walk away. Those two things are the most likely to get you where you want to go salary-wise. Don't be afraid to decline the offer if they won't budge. Right? Now, there are lots of other things you can do, and that's part of my HR consulting practice. But those two things are key. Knowing what you should be making based on doing your own research and knowing your worth and valuing yourself. And second, don't be afraid to walk away. Don't be afraid to say thank you for your offer, but it looks like we can't meet, you're not able to get to the right number, so I'm going to have to withdraw. Right? It almost never comes to that. But in your mind, you have to have that willingness, because if you have that willingness, you bring it into the negotiation. You bring that confidence in your skills, your knowledge, your worth into the negotiation, you're more likely to get what you want. So in your mind, know that if they won't get to where you need them to go, you're prepared to walk away. And I'm going to throw in one other tip. The other tip is always be looking for a job. Always be looking for a job. Not actively looking, but open to the possibility. One of the things I used to do back in the day before I became unemployable is that I would randomly apply for jobs and do job interviews. And really, not because I was looking for a job, but because I was always open to another opportunity if it presented itself. And I always wanted to keep my interview skills sharp. So I would go sometimes and apply for jobs just for the interview experience, so that I understood the questions people were asking. I knew what the experience, I was ready. And I can tell you honestly, just about every time I ever applied for a job, they wanted to hire me. So I would withdraw. I would have to withdraw. But I would go through at least one round of interviews just to make sure I was up on what the interview experience was like. But I was always open that if an opportunity came around that was better than the one I had, that I was willing to walk. Because why? We are not loyal to these jobs. These jobs are not loyal to us, and we are not loyal to these jobs. So you should be always looking for another job. And I already told you, don't stay in a job for more than 3 years. Anytime someone tells me they're in a job for 20 years, it breaks my heart. Because staying in a job too long, it stagnates your skills. You don't learn anything new, and you're almost never going to make the money that you should be making if you stay in one job for 20 years in these days and times, right? So how do you get the salary that you want? You ask for it. You counter, you always negotiate no matter what the first offer is. You're not afraid to walk away from the table if they're not going to give you what you asked for, and you always looking for a job. Those 3 things will position you and give you the mindset to get the money that you want. Because what you don't want to do, which is what happens to most of us Black women in workplaces, is you come in at the bottom, you stay at the bottom, you never catch up to everyone else. And you come into the job, then you get to see the salary range, then you find out you're at the bottom, then you're pissed and angry for the rest of the time you're at the job, you're resentful of the work, you're resentful of your manager, you're resentful of HR because you think they took advantage of you. No, they didn't. Their job is to buy talent for as low a price as possible. They're doing their job. Your job is to make sure you get what you deserve. So the only way that's going to happen is if you ask for what you believe that you deserve. So don't come in and be mad if you didn't negotiate. That's your fault. So make sure that you negotiate, right? So that you don't come in and find out you at the bottom doing the most work, which happens to a lot of us. And then you're mad and then you're resentful, but then you stay in the job and you won't leave, right? Don't be one of those people. Let's do something different going forward. Negotiate. Don't be afraid to walk away. Always be looking for a job. I hope this video and these tips were helpful. I'm Anne Marie. I'm the anti-HR HR lady. HR is not your enemy, but they're definitely not your friend, but I am. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.